Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Market, where every day we discuss everything to do with the modern market. That is the crypto market, the NFT market, and the Trump family tree, and therefore the potential Trump family market. We're going to discuss everything that's been happening over probably one of the most historic weekends in crypto. Cannot wait to get into it today. Loaded up for discussion today. We have the Trump and Melania coin at 55 billion when I last checked, 9 billion when I last checked, but very, very volatile at the moment. Obviously, ahead of an inauguration, which is later today. We've got Bitcoin hitting all-time high as well in advance of that. 109K at the top. I think it's settled at around 108 so far. Open interest rising though. Sol also hit an all-time high over the weekend at 290. That's pulled back just a touch. Trump's World Liberty Fire also bought $48 million of ETH. ETH is not being forgotten as Vitalik announced sweeping changes at the Ethereum Foundation. Can't wait for Brad to dive into that in a little bit, explain what's going on there. We've also got the latest on price action on crypto and NFTs as usual, plus a general discussion on market rotations and where liquidity is flowing at the moment. So stay tuned for that. Got Legendary and Brad in the co-host seats. We're ready to get into it. But just a reminder, friends, that no matter how high the price goes and how wise we sound in hindsight, we do not know anything for sure. So please remember, this is not financial advice. This market is very risky. We don't know anything. Please do proceed with caution and exercise your own judgment. With that out of the way, going straight to Brad. It's Monday. It's the 20th of January, Brad. Following up on the fact we really can't know anything for sure. People would be unwise to follow someone who has such a small microphone attached to their microphone arm, right? Like if you're looking on screen at the moment, Brad, you've got to paint the picture here of what microphone you're working with.
Is this how we measure our worth in this space now? I actually think it's condescending for you to point out the size of my microphone
As
here,
as
I'm
podcasters,
offended,
Brad,
frankly.
I think a lot of our manhood is attached to our microphones now.
All right, so to paint a picture for people just listening. So as you guys know, I'm in a state of transition. Probably even echoing here. I can hear it. I hate it. Actually, I gotta change that. So like, I will be leveling up like a beautiful butterfly coming out of my cocoon these next few weeks. I'm moving to a new place. I have a monitor arm, a microphone arm. I have no monitor. I have no microphone. So I have my little baby portable neck clip microphone attached to my giant microphone arm. So yeah, we're going to be evolving the next few days, weeks, I guess. Yeah, this is the current state of things.
I like it a lot. I did notice it straight away though, and I had to comment on it. I think it looks good. It's a good topic it's a good conversation starter. Obviously I got to go to that in the first few minutes.
Good for dynamic thinking. I have a lot of things, and I don't have a lot of things, but and nothing makes a complete thing in my entire house. So it's like, okay, I have a bed. I don't have a bed frame. Okay, cool. Or I have a mattress, but I don't have a bed frame. Sweet. I have toothbrushes, but I don't have a toothbrush holder. So like, it's just laying on the ground. I have a microphone stand, but no microphone. So like, you learn to think quick in these situations.
Very resourceful. Like the resourcefulness. Legendary, going over to you. How are you doing your side? What do you think about this microphone debate? Are you pro resourcefulness in this case, or would you have just bought an AI microphone by now?
Jim, doing pretty well. I would have probably bought an AI microphone by now, because I have this very, very beautiful microphone that I can talk into and feel very elevated because I do so. But I feel quite well after the weekend. It's utterly insane. We just had Nick Hill in the YouTube comments saying, did the country of Cuba just launch a token, which apparently is the case as well. It's not part of the news, but there is a post. Let me bring that up quickly. There we go, the Ministerio de Relaciones Exteriores, the Foreign Ministry of Cuba,
fantastic pronunciation,
official account, posting a Solana ticker. And yeah, it's Cuba 2.0, Cuba's own crypto coin on Solana. And they apparently have a spaces on that going on right now. So this is
no way.
This is who the modern market is competing with. We are competing with fucking countries launching their own token at 7 a.m. Eastern.
They got 1.1K in their space. Okay, well, I like Cuba, so I don't know.
That's good.
While I'm doing the headlines, We don't really do this on the show. I was going to ask you to just buy me some because that's while I'm doing the headlines. But I was actually, interestingly, you talked about this being what's it called? Country tokens. I noticed on CoinGecko for the first time ever a country list. Like, I don't know if this is new. I was actually going to bring it up later in the show as a new segment. Like, what's going on here? All of these countries have coins. I didn't know about this. Are they official? Are they not official? I'll get into that in a little bit because it's one of the segments a little bit later. But very interesting that is happening. Look, we had one of the biggest weekends over the weekend. We're going to get into all of it from start to finish, everything in between, all of the analysis from our perspective in just a little bit. But let's, as always, start with the price action. We have, starting with the price action, starting with the majors, as usual, we've got Bitcoin up almost 4% to $108,000. That sounds pretty good. It's up 18% in the last 7 days. I think rumors of a strategic Bitcoin reserve are starting to circulate, although we've kind of been talking about that a long time. I guess people are thinking that it's going to happen at the moment. Ethereum is also up 6%, up to 3.3K. Every time ETH's up, it's still at the same price. How does that even work? Up only 7% in the week, so very much underperformed the rest of the majors. XRP is up 7% to $3.3, up 36% in the last 7 days. Solana is down 8%, although it went on a colossal run over the weekend, up 45% in the last 7 days, up to 260. Getting into the meme coin side of things, we have, what do we have? Got Dogecoin up a couple of percent to 37 cents. Trump is now down 20% to 55, but that's been like crazy volatile. Obviously, we'll dive into that a bit more in a bit. Pepe's up 6, Bonk's up 5, Fartcoin is down 5, but above $2. Pengu's down 4%. Melania is up 30%, but again, very recently launched. SPX up 26%, one of Murad's key coins. Just looking around for some other stuff. It's very sporadic. You know how sometimes we say, oh, it's all green, sometimes it's all down. This is very much different sectors moving in different ways. I think the market's been very, very jolted by the weekend's activity. And so what's happening here is just everything is moving in different directions. People are trying to figure out where the value is and where the value will go to next. AI16Z is down 13%, whereas MOG is up 4%. AIXBT, our favorite AI tweeter, is down 20%, for example. So real different types of movements going on in the market in that respect. Getting into the headlines themselves, obviously far and away the number one piece of news, Trump and Melania launched coins over the weekend. Trump's one came out, went as high as 70 billion and now has pulled back to 55. Melania's at 9 billion. We're going to dive into all of that in just a little bit. Bitcoin, as I said, hit all-time highs, as high as 109K. Solana also hit an all-time high at 290 before pullback to 260. And Trump's World Liberty-Fi, the DeFi platform that they're going to be building out, bought $48 million of ETH as Vitalik announced sweeping changes at the Ethereum Foundation. Those two things are not connected necessarily, just putting those two things because we're going to dive into both of those aspects of Ethereum news a little bit later today. Some notable sales, some CryptoPunks were moving. One Clown Nose selling for 76 ETH. Some other CryptoPunks in their sales in the 40 ETH region. What else is going on in the NFT market? Legendary, I did a post on it earlier. It sounds like it's pulling back a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. NFT market is pulling back more than just a little bit. Pudgy Penguins have fallen significantly under the 20 ETH mark, 18.7 ETH floor for them, down 9.6% over the last 24 hours, down almost 20% over the last 7 days. Bored Apes down 2.7%, 14.1 ETH floor for that collection. Azuki, ahead of the anime coin launch this week, down 3% over the last 24 hours, down 25% over the last 7 days, sitting at a 10.5 ETH floor, getting dangerously close to falling under 10 ETH again. Ladies, down 7.5% over the last 24 hours, however, more importantly, up 32% over the last 7 days, 4.8 ETH floor for them, and that is after Vitalik has changed his PFP to Milady himself.
I like it. Thanks very much for the NFT market update. Getting into the WebD Roundup. To be honest, there wasn't a lot more to talk about today because so much of the news was centered around the Trumps and their coin launches. Here's a few other bits. And another Trump coin, although I'm pretty sure this is not official yet, is Baron. Baron ran to 400 million before pulling back savagely this morning to 60 million. So, like, I don't know about that one, to be honest. Who knows? Maybe it's real, maybe it's not. I don't know. We do not know the answer to that question. Trump's World Liberty Fight announces they will sell an additional 5% of their supply after they finally sold out their initial offering. Remember, this is the DeFi platform, which you needed KYC to make purchases or kind of get your allocation for tokens. They completed their mission of selling 20% of their token supply. And as soon as that's finished now, and it took a long time to fill it out, right? Because they couldn't sell it out at the beginning. Now with all of this additional activity via the meme sale or the meme coins, it looks like the demand is reignited and they're now trying to sell an additional 5%. On the Hyperliquid side, this is pretty staggering numbers. Hyperliquid announced all-time high numbers, 24-hour volume of $21 billion and 24-hour protocol revenue of 9.5 million. Pretty impressive. They were also the first team to launch Trump, right? You could start trading perps for Trump there. I think they were the first people to do that. On the NFT side, as I said, Pudgy Penguins and Azukis are down. I might share some lending data there in a second. The lending side of stuff there, Azukis look pretty fine. All the loans are kind of looked after. But on the Pudgy Penguin side, there's a lot of loans that are looking for lenders, in the sense that a lender has cancelled. There might be a 10 ETH, 11 ETH, 12 ETH loan looking for a lender. If no one comes in, they get liquidated. Usually that stuff does get taken care of, but something to keep an eye out on. And if you're a lender, to step in and kind of place that capital there. That is it. Oh, on the creator side, I thought this was interesting, Legendary. X announces vertical videos to be included in the new video tab. I think that's pretty huge. Especially, it sounds like I listened to Trump's speech yesterday, and it sounds like he said TikTok's going to be fine. It's going to be back, so no need to worry about that. But even if it is back, some competition on the short form video front. I know X has been trying to push video for a long time as well, so that'll be interesting to see. Before we get into the main headlines and a discussion on those country coins that I mentioned, anything catching your attention here, Legendary?
Yeah, the Baron one was an interesting one. I mean, I'm not going to spend too much time on it because we will talk Trump family for probably almost the entire show from various angles. But as you said, I think initially the thinking was might be the wallet that Shkreli used to send funds to Baron to launch DJT back then. And it did run up massively on that. I got in myself, traded out of it. And as you said, it's completely dumped now, but now there are rumors that there's gonna be an official one as well. So it is a massive craze, chaos, whatever you want to call it. Nobody really knows.
Crime.
Yeah, don't say that, because you'll make the crime ticker pump by that, because that's also obviously one of the tickers that has run a lot over the weekend. Because everyone was posting it's crime season, and of course there has to be a ticker for that as well.
God. Okay. I mean, definite chaos in the markets. Like, I think that's reflected in that price action I just went through on the Memecoin side, right? Where there's like so much dispersions. Like some stuff's up 6%, some stuff's up 12%, some stuff's down 4%, some stuff's down 10%. Like, very often, as you know, when we go through that segment of the show, it's just like, okay, things are generally up. Okay, things are generally down. Definitely not the case at the moment. I think the Trump stuff's caused a lot of chaos in general. But as you said, we're going to talk about that in a bit more detail in a second, although I'm sure we're going to get dragged towards it at every point of the conversation. Brad, giving you an opportunity to not get dragged towards it yet. Anything else from the main roundup that you're interested in that is not Trump related?
I'm going to go off piste here because you didn't actually mention this. And over the weekend, Joe Lubin with Consensus and the CMO both hinted at like Consensus going public and issuing convertible bonds similar to like MicroStrategy, and then DCAing into Ethereum. So I mean, the market got pretty hyped up on that. So it was honestly the combination of I made a post on it that kind of just ran just to kind of like encapsulate how crazy this weekend was. But like, yeah, Trump launches a coin, runs to 34 billion. Vitalik switches to Milady, like that, like the whole vibe shift thing went off. And then 3 was that Joe Lubin's talking about basically just DCAing perpetually into ETH, just like Saylor does for Bitcoin.
Why don't you? Is it possible to find that tweet, Legendary, the Joseph Lubin tweet? Because my understanding is, and maybe you could speak to it, Brad, because that is a really important thing. I thought maybe we could, maybe it was kind of attached to the Ethereum Foundation stuff, but I think you're correct. It's kind of separate. When you say he alluded to it, I'm pretty sure he just replied with a smiley face, right?
Correct. Yeah. Like, so it was in another post, but there's a secondary thing. So I posted that the original someone, Warhammer, said, take consensus public, issue convertible bonds, buy plus stake. 2025 is the year, or is the time for this. And Joe Lubin responded with a smiley face to him, which I thought that was my first view of it. And then someone else responded in my thread actually and said, are linked to another person who was the CMO of Consensus that said an Ethereum Michael Saylor is coming. And that was on January 15th, so 5 days ago. Someone else from Consensus had alluded to it. Again, CMO of Consensus specifically. So Joe coming forward after that fact and also signaling the same thing makes you think that it is them specifically.
I like it. I love it when we do this investigation through people's comments and then like linking different people's tweets and understanding, oh, that person used to work there, therefore something else. Like
that's the game.
Crucial. Yeah,
it is, because like especially in the regulation space, you can't explicitly say some shit. So like you have to allude to it. You have to like put the breadcrumbs out there for people to rebuild it. So sometimes it's a psyop, but sometimes it's actually legitimate, like signaling.
Very, very interesting. Ethereum Michael Saylor is coming potentially. Look, we'll keep on top of that. We'll keep an eye on it for sure. Before we get into the main stuff, I wanted to bring up 2 just trends that are clearly right here, right now, related to Trump and stuff. Just the first thing on Deck Screener, if you were to go to Deck Screener right now and look at the types of coins which are prominent.
I refuse.
I understand. Brett will refuse because this is nothing of note for him. But these are the names that you see. This is where we are in the market at the moment. All of the top coins are just names of people who are either in the Trump family or very, very close to the Trump family right now.
But they've also been market boosted though, right? Like that's what the colors are for, right?
Say again?
Isn't the coloring indicating that it's market boosted? So it's not necessarily pure like metrics volume, but it's also like people are paying for it to like, it's an ad effectively, right? That's what those little lightning bolts are.
I see. That's a good point. However, I think if
but even if you sort by volume, click on the volume on top, or let me share over you real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it's the same basically, like with the exception of Fartcoin in USA and TikTok, which was also the Trump related news on TikTok. It's still all Trump and Trump family if we go by volume.
Yeah, so even going by volume, so you've got Melania, Trump, Barron, Fartcoin is in there, USA, TikTok, Elon, Kai, Ivanka down at number 24. So it's kind of relentless at the moment. So that's one thing I noticed. The second thing I noticed is this country coin section. Like I've got no idea what this is. I've never seen this before. But Legendary mentioning Cuba earlier was just kind of fun to me. And then I actually saw like these are things performing pretty well at the moment. So if you look at all of these coins, they've all got the same chart that in the last 7 days, all of these things have been pumping. And if you think about, the rest of the coins that we've been holding for a long time, they have definitely not unanimously been pumping. I think they've all actually bled a little bit as attention's gone elsewhere. But you've got America coin at the top, of course, up 95% in the last 24 hours. You've got Argentina coin. You've got Japan coin, France coin, Spain coin, Italian coin. You've got a based USA coin. You've got South Korea. I was like, I just saw this morning. I was like, I've never seen this before. Have you guys seen this? Like, what's going on? Like, I haven't checked specifically at when these coins were launched, but they're definitely getting some traction at the moment. I haven't heard anyone else talking about it. Legendary.
It's too left curve. It's too left curve for me. Go ahead, Legendary.
I haven't seen this, but what I've seen on X, what they also added is if you go to CoinGecko, or I can share my screen real quick, it's a category that a lot of people have also asked for. It's the made in USA, because obviously we have the speculation that that might be a tax advantage, aka less or zero capital gains or whatever for made in USA coins. So now we also have a made in USA section for tokens as well.
I tell you what, though, kudos to CoinGecko. Like
I was just
they
gonna say that.
iterate pretty quickly in these groupings, right?
Yep.
And if you think about it, so much of like humans just want to group things together. Like we really want to group things together. As soon as memes came out, like, okay, well, there's animal meme coins, and you've got memes that are AI meme coins, and we always want to just put things into categories, put them into baskets, so that we can evaluate the category, right? And so, made in USA, what a great way to draw attention to those, to that bucket. And maybe if you are made in the USA, and you would never have previously received any prominent attention, just by being in the bucket, you're now in a list with some other more prominent ones, and you probably get some more attention. So I think that is very, very interesting. And I was going to say the same thing. Shout out to CoinGecko for like iterating fast on that, and almost creating the bucket to help people and get people focused. Just a quick final thing before we get into the Trump stuff. Argentina coin, for example, I was just saying, I'm not sure how long this stuff has ever existed before. Argentina coin is the second favorite country coin at the moment. But what you can see here is there was actually, like, look, the pump that we've just seen is this little bit in the bottom.
So we're in round 2 of this, and we didn't even realize it.
Yeah, so this has actually been out for, according to this, June 2023. This must have been, no, hang on. No, June 2024.
2024, yeah.
Yeah, June 2024, in the summer, started off relatively high, lost all of its value, and just now, all the country coins.
Is that the Olympics?
It might be, you know? Yeah, you're right. I think the Olympics were in Paris. That's so funny that all of these things could come back with a completely new meaning as Trump kind of brings this life to patriotism and, you know, himself as his family, firstly and foremost. Realistically, that's the primary thing he's drawing attention to. But maybe as an extension, you have the country movement, and then all these other countries are moving at the same time. Like, it's not just Argentina. You've got Japan, France, Spain, Italy. So interesting that they're all moving at the same time in that way. That's just what I wanted to draw people's attention to. Any final comments there from either of you? Go on. What are you laughing at, Ledge?
I just checked Cuba, and now they posted 41 seconds ago, exciting news, introducing Cuba. Cuba's own crypto coin Solana has launched, and that's Cuba 3.0, and there's a new space and a new ticker apparently. So I have no idea if these guys are hacked or what's going on, but I just have
crime.
It is crime season indeed, apparently. Yeah,
governmental crime.
All I have to say is thanks. I hate it. To all of it. Literally over the weekend, because I was like talking about roll up noisy neighbor, like scalability, like bullshit, like it's normal technical stuff that I talk about. And literally in my stuff, I had like Raheem came in there, a couple chimpers, like a couple of people were just like, bro, never change. Because it's like they're like, my feed is saturated with Melania and Trump and all this stuff. And you're over here just in your own little nerd bubble talking about nerd shit. They didn't even know what I was talking about. They're just like, we appreciate the eye bleach you're giving us by not talking about like the on-chain Grimers hanging all over the place. So don't change. So I will continue to not change. I can't change. I can't.
Love it. Definitely need that variety. We've got to keep concentrating on some of the actual stuffs going on in crypto rather than only the price action from the last 48 hours. So I think that is very helpful. Right. Having said that, we're literally going straight into what you love, Brad, because that was the main event. I'm going to do a little summary to get people up to speed what happened, and then maybe we'll talk through some implications. Because although we might think that some of it is silly, which it is, there's some pretty big implications potentially for capital formation. Balaji was writing quite eloquently on it. So I'm going to take people through what happened and some of the commentary on its implications, which is ultimately the most important part, right? So it was Friday at the crypto ball, actually. So Legendary, if you could share the screen, I've got these bits prepared. Oh, it doesn't matter. That's not the right one. Maybe I put it in the wrong order. Basically on Friday, they launched the token. It was Trump's token whilst people were at the crypto ball. And there was some interesting commentary around this where it was like, he brought all these people in, his biggest supporters when it comes to crypto, and then did not allow them to participate in the sale because they were all busy kind of schmoozing at the party. And then it was all the degens at home who managed to participate. So that was one comment. But anyway, it launched when it did. It completely sent relentlessly. It went up to as high as 70 billion FTV in less than 48 hours, then retraced to 40 bill, then bounced to 60. I think we're around 50 at the moment. It was initially launched. I think part of the reason why there was a bit of confusion at the beginning, people were trying to gauge its authenticity. It was initially tweeted about on Truth Social. I think I can't remember which way around, on Truth Social. Then it was confirmed on Twitter, and I think that gave a lot of people the signal to go in, which is interesting when it comes to like verifying this stuff, especially as the next few weeks unfold. That's part of the research process, right? This is like the unofficial research process, the due diligence that you do. Something gets announced somewhere. Is it real? Is it not? Is always one of the first questions. Verifying from a couple of different points. And I think seeing it tweeted from 2 different places gave people the confidence to move into it. It moved up pretty aggressively. I think now we're at it was the 21st most valuable. It's something in that region at the moment. It was the top 25 coins in crypto. Even on one of the days did more volume than Solana, which is pretty outrageous. Solana held up pretty well as well in general during that time, although it did start to break a little bit more recently. And then I guess people were trying to figure out like what's the significance here? What are the implications? The president of the United States literally just dropped a meme coin. What does this mean? Balaji wrote quite a long post talking through some of its implications. He said, first, President Trump just went from crypto being perhaps 1% of his net worth to 90%. That was the interesting point that I think 50 billion, is that the right number? I can't remember the exact, let me just find the number. I think it was higher up in, yeah. So overnight, the vast majority of the net worth, 59 billion of the next president of the United States is now held in cryptocurrency. Obviously, I think it's 80% of the supply is being held in that dev wallet at the moment, right? And only 20% was circulating. So that's why so much is being held in either the president's or the team's wallet. That's why that's so high. Second, this phenomenon, the overnight relative devaluation of all non-crypto holdings will be experienced by billions globally within our lifetime as fiat dies. So in Balaji's opinion, he thinks this is like a broader phenomenon. Fiat is dying as all non-crypto holdings are being devalued. Obviously, a significant amount of value is being attached to this crypto itself. So this is another example of that. Third, every politician, influencer, and celebrity worldwide is watching, mouth agog at this phenomenon. They'll wait to see how it shakes out politically and financially. And if the meme coin shows staying power, which is a big if, they may do their own. Fourth, if we do then get a large market with thousands of personal meme coins, it may actually be okay because every buyer knows what they're buying, the potential future brand value of the meme. Much depends on how much value the Trump asset holds. If any, other celeb meme coins have gone to zero very quickly. But Trump is Trump and has the unique qualities that he has. Whatever form of political counterattack comes his way, Trump is now strongly incentivized to legalize cryptocurrency in the most aggressive way possible. Of course, this will be attacked as a conflict of interest. Trump's rebuttal may be that he's just doing everything in public. His claim may be that disclosure solves the conflict of interest problem. I think, I mean, one of the ways he goes on to explain or explore that he could kind of do something bigger with this is that you'd ideally want the president to be aligned with his citizens such that they all held USA coin, which gives some dividends from the profits of the USA kind of. And so what he suggests is that they could do some kind of airdrop. I don't know if that's like completely wishful thinking, like really blue sky thinking at this point. But to be honest, I don't know if anything is. I don't know if anyone would have thought that this would have been possible beforehand, that the president of the United States would have dropped a meme coin. Therefore, who knows what their plans are? Would there be a universe where they then try to distribute this further to people? It holds significant value now and they hold 80% of it. What can be done with that? How can that be used to incentivize other people and continue to keep support for themselves and build things out? So those were some of the implications. On the crypto economy side, he said the crypto economy has been technically feasible for a while. It just became politically feasible. All payments will be in stable coins. All companies will raise online. All accounting goes on chain. All systems are go. Look, that's a bunch of positive stuff, right? There was some negativity, not only about the Trump coin, but also the Melania coin, which followed. And I guess that's two separate things. There's the criticism for Trump in and of its own thing, and then the fact that there was a second coin within 48 hours, which is a separate criticism. This came from Eric Voorhees, who's a kind of Bitcoin OG. He said, Trump coin is stupid and embarrassing. Trump coin is a signal of a sea change in US fintech policy towards much more permissive innovation. Both can be true at the same time. Zeneca had this to say on the Melania tokenomics. There's a 30-day cliff, then 10% unlock, and then linear unlocks over the following 12 months. According to the website, this vesting schedule ensures long-term commitment from the team while gradually increasing circulating supply. Long-term, but we'll start dumping on you in 30 days. So only a 30-day cliff there. Will be interesting to see. I mean, that would be politically, I would have thought, very, very bad to start selling it all from the main wallet in 30 days. But that's what the tokenomics permit at the moment. So that's the criticism there. And then Stats had this interesting point. I guess along the same lines. He had the world on his string, more than 10x his wealth, $60 billion on paper wealth, unlocking in less than a quarter. Who could possibly think to want more? Kind of saying that, it was the perfect launch in a way. If you are going to do this type of thing, it had gone fantastically well. And then they've just launched another one straight away. Not to be outdone by her husband, she kept 88% of the supply. Baron gets 95%. When his coin comes around, kind of speculating, maybe the percentage increases with each family member. So that's where we're at. A bit of some people thinking it's great. A lot of wealth transfer, right, from or wealth creation. Well, it's not necessarily creation, but wealth transfer from wealth creation for people who are like online terminally. A lot of people made a lot of money over the weekend, but some legitimate concerns and criticisms as well. I wonder where you guys shake out. That's what I'll be asking you now. Some interesting implications of this for this. Maybe that's what we'll focus on rather than just dwelling on meme coin price action. Legendary first. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. Just disclosure first. I traded all three of them: Trump, Melania, Baron, Trump, and Melania with significant size, and I still hold backs in both of them. So just keep that in mind. My thinking is it is relevant from that standpoint that Balaji has mentioned, which is this guy has launched NFT collections before. Trump, that is, has launched ordinals before and has launched, I don't know, was it 3, 4, 5? I don't remember the exact amount of NFT collections, but each time he made quote unquote just a couple mil on them or a couple more mil on them, but that was enough for him to keep coming back and keep working with the team that did the collectibles and continuing this. And now he has landed a hit that, and you have to imagine the absurdity of that. And I know it is paper gains. This guy's been a billionaire before, has done over the weekend a 10x on his net worth. Basically, he's been worth around 5 bill. And at the top, that paper gains, those 80% that the dev wallet had locked up, were worth 60 bill. They're, I don't know, like 45, 50, 40, in the 40 to 50 range somewhere right now. So this is insane. Like, you don't have stories like someone who's worth a couple bill multiplies his net worth over a weekend. And he did that with crypto again. And he now has a very, very, very strong interest in obviously keeping this sector healthy and alive, because the NFT collections were, a nice thing to do and have added a good amount of money and have added life-changing money for some. But to someone who already has way more than that, it's just a bit of extra. Whereas this thing has completely changed his net worth and portfolio structure over the weekend. And that is the true significance of it, in my opinion, for all the things going forward with Donald Trump in politics.
Okay, so your reading of the situation is, from a personal perspective, it is exceptionally helpful for his future unlocks, I guess, to be aligned with crypto, because if crypto goes well, those unlocks go well, the price stays good and they can figure out a healthy way to exit those positions. Whereas if crypto goes poorly, if he upsets crypto people, then that token now, which is kind of trades on Trump sentiment, really, right? If people are bullish Trump, people will buy Trump token. If they are bearish Trump, if he does things which are anti-crypto for whatever reason, I suspect they're not going to hold the token, right? And therefore he has significant personal financial interest in supporting crypto, I guess. That's the point. Okay, I think that makes sense. I think that's definitely one of the realistic conclusions to draw. Brad, would love to come to you maybe on the more critical side, given that I'm assuming you're more critical, but is that the case? Do you have any other thoughts on the implications of this launch?
So I'll double down on what Legendary was saying with the net worth 10xing, but also just like relative to the amount of effort that was put in, right? Like it took basically nothing, right? So like other people have like significantly grown their net worth quickly, but like the amount of like how quickly and how short of time is unprecedented. I think that's like the determining factor here. And then honestly, I'm more focused on the tech side as always. So what this reflected in the Solana ecosystem, and like this is why, just like when I talk about man hours for Ethereum, this is a man hours moment for Solana, right? Like you can build for high volume moments, high transaction moments, but until you actually go through some of these things to see where the cracks show, like this is what builds up Lindy. This is what hardens a system for the future. And for them to stand up to having, I think I saw like 10 million transactions yesterday, which is a shit ton, right? That's more than guy from Blockworks, Dan Smith, had some of the metrics, but they had 40 billion in volume yesterday. Ridiculous. It was an all-time high. And then they had, again, those 10 million transactions would have been, base are all Del2s, frankly, are sitting steady at like 200 transactions a second. So for Solana to hold up to that, I mean, they did have issues, right? You talked about like they handled Donald Trump or the Trump coin fairly well, but then when Melania dropped at the same time that there was a huge sell of Solana on chain, the combination of those two things frankly broke the chain for like 3 to 4 hours yesterday. And when I say broke the chain, like we have to remember these systems are complex and multifaceted, right? So Solana, the blocks were actually being produced, like the chain itself was fine, but all of the surrounding infrastructure started to break down. Like in this one in particular, it was Jito, the client that builds a lot of the blocks, like, and people that run their Telegram bots through. So like Solana could have built blocks had the information got to it. But things that were building the blocks to like package them, create them, send them on to Solana was breaking down. And frankly, again, just basically disintegrated for about 3 to 4 hours. They ultimately resolved it and came through. But like now those teams, having gone through this event, will have hardened their systems. They figured out where the breakpoints were, and in the future, hopefully can have engineering solutions in place to solve them so they can stand up better next time. And it's frankly something you can't replicate in tests, right? Real world load at this magnitude from all across the world. Like, yeah, it's ultimately good for the space that we're able to handle that kind of stuff. But we just got to keep going through them.
Just to add a bit more non-technical color to that, because it also had affected centralized exchanges. You had Binance posting, again, from a non-technical perspective, I'm going to get into it in a second, that they have withdrawal issues, and Binance wasn't the only exchange with the UST Sol pair. Binance even made an announcement 2 days ago saying they have suspended the withdrawals of Solana that was on January 18th again due to a massive rise in the transaction volume. So just that sheer volume that has been generated as trading volume on Solana that has led to Solana, obviously, which is also part of the news, which we'll get to in a bit, hitting a new all-time high, ultimately had also depleted or almost depleted some of the exchanges of their Solana stacks, and they even couldn't keep up with the trading volume, which is just utterly insane if you put all those pieces together and try to understand like how impactful from trading volume and velocity this weekend has been.
Yeah, I think that is pretty fair. That's a fair way to look at it. Final one on this then, because I think we want to move to some of the other headlines as well, although this is probably the main thing. Legendary, what do you think? Obviously, some criticism about the fact that there was back-to-back coins. I think people who are not traders dwell on that more. You are, as you said, participating, trading. I'm doing so as well, but maybe less so. How are you seeing this in the next 5 days or so? Well, first, actually, part one question: how are you seeing this going into inauguration, which is today? There are, I guess, 2 official Trump coins out, one being Trump, one being Melania, and then the next week or so. And then how do you think it affects other assets? I'll share my thoughts in a second.
Yeah, and today is also MLK Day, which means stock markets are closed in the States. So
various things going on.
You can trade crypto, but can't trade stocks, can't trade them that easily. Look, going back to what I said before, Trump had launched multiple NFT collections before for way less money than that. So there was a very high chance to see the success of the Trump coin, to see more coins coming from his family and see even more following after that. A, because it's a large family. B, because the amount of money that's being made is unprecedented by anything that we've seen before. And I think that this liquidity sucks will continue. But I don't think that it has a net negative impact for the space overall, from the perspective that liquidity will flow back into the stuff that we traded before, not to the same extent for everything, and other things will not recover to the pre-Trump prices. If anything, liquidity sucks like that tend to accelerate timelines. Coins who might have faded out and would have become irrelevant or less relevant over the next couple of weeks or months have just died out quicker, because this is exactly what happens. Like, you have stuff like AIXPT that went down and recovered, and you have other coins that didn't recover, because if you have an on-chain event like the Trump coin launch, you either have enough liquidity to buy it, or you don't have enough liquidity and want to buy it, in the case that you want to buy it, and then you ask yourself, what am I selling first to buy Trump? And you're going to sell your bags with less conviction first, and you're going to sell stuff like a Pudgy Penguin to buy Trump if you really want to ape in with size, and you're like, fuck it, this is my full port bet. But then if you made gains with that, you will return to the assets that you have believed in previously, and you might not buy back everything. So I don't think that it has like changed the space to, just from that liquidity perspective, not talking about morals, ethics, none of that, not because it's not interesting, but just this is the lens that I want to look at it right now. Just from a liquidity perspective, I think it's a catalyst that accelerates timelines that would have happened exactly like that, but they're happening on a way faster scale now.
Interesting. Maybe that ties in. What do you think of this take? I wrote this earlier. I think that kind of ties in with what I'm saying here, where I said this is a hot take. Potentially, the Trumps have flicked the switch to hard mode. I know a lot of people think it was super easy. Just, as long as you were online, you could buy that thing, and it just went up, right? But this is what I mean. It's gone to hard mode in the sense that this is an attention game for any asset other than the majors, and maybe even them too, to some extent. And now any of your coins can get vampired by them, i.e. the Trumps, or new, more famous people at any point in time in the next few months. So what happens, and I think this has been denied, by the way, so what I'm about to say is not going to happen as far as I know, but what happens if Mr. Beast or someone similar launches on Solana? You're not going to want to, in fact, you will want to full port that, but you've already full ported Trump. And so there's a number of people in various sectors who could launch, who are the most prominent people in their industry, given now that they've been given license to do so. And so everything becomes kind of in line with what you're saying, Ledge. This is kind of what I was thinking, I guess. It becomes hyper attached to the attention that they can keep now. And there's always something else that can come now because they've been given permission. The floodgates have been opened for all kinds of people to be, to kind of come to the meme coin market. Now, again, I mentioned Mr. Beast, which apparently has been denied. I want to give you another example of something which I think has been denied as well. But just as an example, I wrote this earlier, I'm just scrolling on my timeline. Mark Andreessen from A16Z tweeted this. What you can see if you're watching in on the screen, remember we're live on YouTube, live on Twitter video as well, if you prefer to watch in. But for people who are just listening in the space, it's Andreessen Horowitz. There's like a gold coin of, I guess, maybe like a Statue of Liberty type figure holding something. And I think immediately crypto Twitter started to think, oh, is this going to be a coin, right? Can you imagine what crypto Twitter would do to an A16Z coin? Like if they were going to launch a coin, and they're right on the cusp of all future facing tech, you know, to the extent that now companies are allowed to raise in this way, using the kind of internet capital market rather than the older, more annoying process. You know, that would be an example that, okay, all right, you were all in Trump. All right, well, maybe you're going to have to sell half of that because you want to go in all in A16Z. Now, that's not going to happen. They said it's just their new logo. But this is just the type of example I'm thinking where there could be more things like this. Legendary, final take on that. And then let's keep it moving because Bitcoin is running as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It changes the way you probably want to trade for a bit. There's been people, prominent people, even like Ghost, who said, look, as long as the Trump mania is going on, I'm not going to buy any new coins. There's other people who said, like, I'm going to buy the dips of my favorite coins. But you will definitely have this like looming danger of something new and fancy distracting attraction and attention away at a magnitude that we haven't seen before. And then the question is, if you just want to chase that and follow that and ape into the Melania or ape into the, I'm going to say Mr. Beast. I know he said he's not going to do a token just because you mentioned the name before. Or if you want to chill in stables, majors, hold your conviction bets and just go for the occasional more risky bet. I think keeping track of attention, and that's also what I posted with regards to anime, which is going to launch this week, is going to be very, very interesting. And this is a launch that will follow closely from the perspective of seeing how mindshare will evolve and will change around that, because there's so much going on. And this is one of the biggest NFT projects launching their ecosystem token, and seeing how they will be able to basically hold and retain mindshare and attention, given all the other things that are going on. And how this launch will play out, for me personally, will also determine a bit how I will position myself going into the future with abstract launching and other things going on, and how I want to play that from my allocation to AI coins, majors, stables, new stuff to throw money at. So it's definitely something where I want to reflect on my trading allocation and style because it's so significant. So I absolutely agree with you on that.
Okay. So yeah, time frame seems to be getting a bit compressed now. Attention is going to be pretty difficult to get. All these tokens and teams want to launch pretty soon, but now that Trump's in the mix, and that's just another huge competitor for attention. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. We've only got 6 minutes left in today's show. Let's see how we can split this information. Just a quick shout out. We got almost 300 in the Twitter spaces. We've got more than 2,000 watching on video. Just a reminder, we do this every single day, Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern time for 1 hour live on YouTube. Our subscribers were going crazy. Would be very, very grateful if you could hit the subscribe button on YouTube. We're trying to hit 1,000 as soon as possible. I think we'll get there before the end of January. But look, let's last couple of bits before we close out the show today on the hour. Legendary Bitcoin, strategic Bitcoin reserve. What are you hearing? What are you thinking? What do we know so far?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, as you said, BTC had hit a new all-time high. In line with that, open interest has also gone up significantly. Open interest is sitting at 2.7 bill for futures, 30 bill for perps. That is up 2 to 5% over the last 24 hours. Taking a quick look before I dive into the news to two polymarket bets. On the one hand, will Trump create the Bitcoin reserve in the first 100 days? Is sitting at a 50% chance and $2.6 million in volume. Smaller bet is US National Bitcoin Reserve in 2025, 63% chance with 176,000 in volume. The real important thing is going to be the inauguration, as well as the series of executive orders that Trump is planning to sign today. Various media outlets have reported that that Trump is planning to sign up to 200 executive orders. To put this number in a relation with, for example, his previous presidency in his first term, he had signed 220 orders. Biden had signed 170 executive orders over his term, and Trump has planned 220 to be signed across all different things, including crypto as well. And there's been a lot of rumors that this will include the formation of the strategic reserve. There's been leaks to / rumors, depending on how you look at them, circulating with apparent wordings of how that will look like. So what we know for sure is that Trump himself said the number he quoted in an interview was 100 plus executive orders, dozens planned to be signed tonight. We know that some of them will have something to do with crypto. What we also know about executive orders is obviously that some of them are legally binding. Not all of them are. And also they can be challenged in court. But we expect a massive, massive regulatory event, not only for crypto, but generally for the US tonight. And because the rumors / leaks, again, it's hard to say what is what, are so strong around that strategic reserve. And we've seen that reflected in both the poly market bets as well. That has created this very positive price action for Bitcoin. And last but not least on that, also Michael Saylor has posted his favorite chart of him buying BTC, saying things will be different tomorrow. So lots of teasing going on.
That's some great KOL tweeting there. That is great KOL tweeting. We shared earlier as well in the show the photo of him with I think it was some other prominent people in the government I think it was from the crypto board. There we go. Earlier. So look, that's what we know. We don't know anything for sure as usual, but the poly market numbers. Just a quick one. Actually, Brett, did you want to come in on this?
No, go for
it. Okay. Legendary. The poly market numbers, you obviously experimented on poly market a reasonable amount. What are those numbers telling you?
I mean, if you look at will Trump create the Bitcoin reserve in the first 100 days, we used to be extremely optimistic after the election, November 7th. There was a 60% chance that this is going to happen. Then the market settled and was like, yeah, it's not realistic that he's going to do that in the first 100 days, went all the way down to a 22% chance. Now, with those rumors and with that flurry of executive orders that he allegedly will sign tonight, those chances have skyrocketed back to 50%. But if you zoom out, basically, we have now a bit less of the confidence level that we had on the day after his election, which is also interesting to see.
Okay, so that's important to note, right? I think the incorrect reading of that chart would to see that it's gone up so much and be like, okay, that is really bullish. However, it just went down. It's gone up from such a low place. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's like insider money moving that thing, right? If it's just moved back to 50, that would be my read on it. Interesting stuff. Glad we got that data. Look, we're at time, but I think it would be helpful to just go for a few more minutes because we've got some very interesting stuff coming out of the Ethereum Foundation as well. Vitalik, Brad mentioned it earlier, was making some big personal changes, but also to the Ethereum Foundation. So, Brad, do you want to just get people up to speed with what's going on here?
Yeah, I'll try to speed run it. So outside of Vitalik actually changing his PFE to a Milady, which was, on a cultural level, pretty significant because he hasn't marketed NFT to my knowledge to this point, but there's that alignment. But then he talked about something, changes at the Ethereum Foundation. Reminder that the Ethereum Foundation was just originally spun up as a public goods foundation around Ethereum. They don't have any direct control over the protocol, but they are seen as like the marketing arm, right? And they can proliferate the actual meme. Anyways, they announced some key objectives for the coming year. notably strengthen the EF's leadership and their technical capabilities and their execution velocity, so speed up some iteration speed. They wanted to align with the ecosystem a little bit better, so enhance the bidirectional communication between the EF and stakeholders, which would be like users, developers, L2s, wallets, applications. So just strengthen that conversation. Some user rights protections, so they want to make sure that privacy, censorship resistance, open source principles, all that stuff is continued to be extended. And then dog fooding infrastructure, quote unquote, and that would just be expand the internal usage of Ethereum mainnet and privacy preserving technologies for operations. So basically just using this stuff and making sure they have a stronger connection to end users. And then he had a separate section for things they're explicitly not doing. And I'll just highlight one thing because it was the thing that caught a lot of the attention. And one of the things was they did not want to execute some kind of ideological vibes pivot from feminized with soy boy mentality to bronzed age mindset. So a lot of people were highlighting that because Ethereum Foundation has been seen as like this bureaucratic, European style organization, and this is just like a nod to that. But overall, it's just a general nod towards like, okay, they realize they need to have a stronger position inside of the ecosystem and align a lot of incentives because Ethereum has grown a lot. Obviously, there's 200 something L2s. There's Ethereum mainnet. There's 7 client teams. Like there's a lot going on. So trying to just strengthen the coordination there so that they can accelerate a little faster and securely. And then the secondary note to that was just Donald Trump Jr. They use their World Liberty Fund to buy a shit ton of ETH, which is kind of the same narrative as you have with Bitcoin, right? Like I sit up here and I technically FUD a lot of Bitcoin infrastructure, right? And a lot of the same stuff's been happening to Ethereum lately with like, what's the value accrual? How does this thing like gonna perform, et cetera, et cetera. But in the end of the day, like these people don't understand a lot of the stuff at this level. Like they don't understand Bitcoin's issuance policy relative to like having the need to have like generate fees. They don't understand the L2 roadmap and all this shit. They just see second biggest coin has an ETF bid, right? And like that might ultimately just be the bull case for a lot of this stuff. And again, they did it and they said they hinted at something coming soon.
Interesting. Excellent summary of what's going on at the ETH Foundation. Then, as you said, Eric Trump with that tweet saying, wait until, what was it, Legendary? Wait until you see what they do tomorrow.
Great KOL tweet, just like Michael Saylor.
Yeah, so you've got someone doing the KOLing on the ETH side. You've got someone doing the KOLing on the Bitcoin side. Let's see what happens. Want to throw, before we close out, Funky, our resident Bitcoin expert, big day for Bitcoin with the inauguration, a lot of political stuff coming to the forefront. Funky, would love to hear your thoughts, my friend. What are you thinking here?
Big Bitcoin gold chain energy today, that's for sure. What I was going to say before when I raised my hand was just about the executive orders about Trump. I would be thrilled to have an SBR and the 0% cap gains thing. If all these things are true, I think people are so mid-curving all this right now. People freaking out about the Trump coin coming out and everything else. I'll tell you this, in the Blockchain Association chat, the Signal group, nothing, not a word. No one cares. Sam had a great tweet about it too, talking about how he, all his TradFi bros, totally off everybody's radar. I think we live in such a small bubble. Zen's been doing a great job talking about this, like how poisonous and toxic the timeline is with people just freaking out about social sentiment. People do not understand the level of bullishness that all this is going to bring for the market, for new liquidity coming in, for new users, for adoption, for everything else. I think it's huge. My one wish, however, is even if there is an executive order, is that they do this through proper legislation, that they push a law through Congress to get the strategic Bitcoin reserve, because that cannot be undone. An executive order just takes somehow the president to come in and a stroke of a pen, it's gone. So doing it through Congress, doing it the proper way as an American, that's what I really want to see. And that's all I want to say. Thanks.
Love it, man. Thanks as always to our official Bitcoin / political correspondent from the States, Funky. That will be the end of our show today. We've run a little bit over, but I hope it was worth it because we wanted to touch on a couple of extra things. And there's a lot of stuff going on, as you can tell. Just a reminder that we do this every single day, Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern time for 1 hour. We're live on X Spaces if you're on just audio only. But we also do video on X Video on YouTube, and you can catch up with us on Apple and Spotify podcasts as well. Have a wonderful day. Take care, and we will be back with you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.